today I had my first job interview, and I will be talking about that. Job interviews I have found out to be a lot more time prepped than it actually needed to be. You need to prep a lot more. You need to do a lot more research. Did I have a bad interview? No, but the first interview for me, because it's just like a multi-part interview thing. The first one's very chill. I think it's more of like a vibe check instead of like an actual test to see if you're hired or not. But just for the vibe check, I mean, I kind of prepped for like the actual main interview because I'm low-key dumb and I did not read and I should have. But that's part of my fault for not prepping. I learned that for an interview, you actually do need to prep a decent amount of stuff. Like if you really do want a job and you actually do need to do stuff, damn, it's a lot more work than I actually thought it was. That's completely my fault. Something I will say, this like, it was kind of me ranting today, but I never, I never would have thought to like give too much thought into. I mean, these are just part-time jobs because I'm not trying to become a full-time worker. But even for the part-time job, it's very hard to just realize that I need to spend this much effort into actually making a correct responses, making sure I know everything, making sure I know all these things about the company and everything like that. And putting in that much work is like it's not hard, not tedious. Doesn't even need to be that much. But it's just how I describe it. It's like mentally taxing. And that's just my fault. That's something I work on. I'm just kind of ranting about how job interviews are kind of hard for me. Because to me, I always found job interviews is like, I guess I never really realized until today. It's like you're not really talking to a human. It's kind of weird. Like I want it to be an actual conversation. I want it to be like I know how to talk to people pretty well. I know how to get them to say things that they, make them open up. I know how to do all these things like actual, it's not really communication skills, but I know how to talk to people. I know how to like get them to open up. But I guess with an interview, those skills don't really matter too much. And it's really weird because I'm not really being, I'm not really being, like, I'm not meant to really act human. I'm kind of just giving out responses that deem fit. See, I've gotten interviewed before, interviewed about questions that have to do with film stuff. And those interviews are a lot less taxing, but maybe it's because I know the person behind the camera. I know the person that is interviewing me, asking me the questions about film, and I know that they're not that serious. I know it's not that, it's relaxing, and it's pretty calm. Maybe because I also know that it's a video. I can edit out anything I want. I could say something now, and I will take it out. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the fact that more is second chances are not. There's no you can't wait and think. Because in an actual film interview, you can always wait and think if it's a video. You know why? Because they will just cut out the part where you're silent, unless the silence is really necessary or they want to add it for dramatic purposes. But other than that, no. And now it's just weird. It's just it's hard. It's hard for me to grasp that I do need to lock in. So if I do get called in for the second interview, I'll mention talk about that. But I will say, it's not as stressful as everyone is saying it is. Time does go by really fast, at least for me. But maybe because for me it was it was a vibe check, and I was just having a normal conversation, kind of. Really, I deem it as a normal conversation. Just kind of asking normal stuff, but it's a lot less stressful. It's just more. Instead of it being are you confident and are you nervous? I feel like that's actually not the part of the interview that's actually the hard part, because I'm assuming that anyone, even I know introverts as well, they can do a good job at standing up for themselves. Some of them, but most of them do. Every human can stand up for themselves a lot of the time. If it's a serious topic or something that they actually want to do, or they're passionate about, they'll stand up for themselves. The hard part is actually just being how well prepped you are. It's not really the question. The questions are going to be kind of on the spot, You're not going to know everything. But it's just being prepped, prepped with how you're going to present yourself, prepped with how you're going to answer these questions. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter what you say, but it more matters how you say it. And and that's something that I'll learn. If I do get called in for the second interview, I will be talking about that and saying how maybe more stuff that has to do with that stuff. But this is my rant for today, and yeah, that's all I have to say.